there's some AI. But as I dug a bit deeper into your background and into the things that you've done, I was so fascinated by a documentary that you were involved in or created. You may have to edit me on that, but about the art of grieving.
Mm-hmm.
And selfishly speaking, from probably the latter part of 23 through the majority of 25, I had a mixture of various situations, life events where grieving was a part of it. How about we start with, can you talk about the art of grieving? Because it's not just a title for a book
Mm-hmm.
or a movie. Can you talk about that? And then I want to ask you some other questions that inform.
Yeah. So real quick, I want to touch on the Psalms. I think why those are so good is because it's like captures the real human essence of grief, right?
Yeah.
The name Psalm Log was just really like Psalms are the Psalms are, a lot of their songs, right? And so it's that idea of spoken word and logging spoken word. So that's kind of where the name comes from. But the art of grieving, man, when I look back on it, that was such a instrumental part of me even going in to make Psalm Log. I just didn't really connect the dots until later on. But about 7 years ago, next month, my brother passed away from an unexpected drug overdose. He was 35. So he's my older brother. And I've outlived him at this point, which is kind of crazy. But I was very deep into abstract painting at the time. And I threw myself into this year-long painting project. I actually wrote in a journal like one line. It was paint every day for a year and make a documentary about it. So,
wow.
I didn't know how the documentary was going to be made. I'm just like, well, do this thing. So this was late 2019 that I started the painting. And the idea there was just that I had a lot to get out. I think, anyone who's gone through, kind of an intense grief can, validate that, grief. Part of the confusing thing about grief is it's not just an emotion. It's often a multitude of those things. You're kind of feeling them at the same time. And so it's confusing. It's just like, I think we're used to being able to identify, hey, I'm sad, or I feel depressed, or I'm angry or fearful, or whatever the case is. But that you can go through a lot of them at the same time. And so I was really using painting as my, cathartic outlet. And I thought, okay, if I can do this in these small study paintings and then have a way to look back on it at the end of the day, that for me would be helpful. And then I'm going to share that journey along the way. And so I did that on social media. And ultimately the part of the goal being, I'm going to reassemble all of these paintings into one giant paint mosaic at the end of it. And I was going to reorganize them in such a way to have a final image that kind of, to me, reflected what grief felt like